It's Ash from SuperVideos back for another live stream Q&A. This is going to be Q&A number 165. As always, we're going to jump right into the questions. Obviously tonight, stay tuned for the reaction to the upcoming episode of Fear the Walking Dead. And then after that, the trailer breakdown for the next episode of Fear the Walking Dead. As always, that's pretty much it for my plug. Let's jump right into the questions. Ronnie Thomas, hi Ash, hi, how are you? Glad you could join. Ronnie Thomas, if you could have chosen how the comics would have ended, how would you have changed the ending? I think the ending was good. I don't think they could have done anything with the ending that would have made it more pop or more interesting. I think they gave us the best with what they had. If I could, I would have made the ending not happen now, because I felt like there was a lot of story in between when we left off in the second to last issue and the last issue. There was a lot of story. There was a lot of skipped material. So if anything, I would have not skipped over those, and I would have, loved to see that storyline play out. But in terms of the ending, or as far as the ending is concerned, I would have changed anything. I think Kirkman gave us the best ending that he could. Could he have done something a little different? Yes, absolutely. But with that said, it shocked us to an extent. And that's what endings are supposed to be, shocking. So I did enjoy what they gave us, or what Kirkman did for us. And I appreciated the Commonwealth storyline a little bit more, because I felt like now, after seeing the ending, we kind of saw how everything was planned and how everything was set up for that ending. Again, I would have loved to see the setup a little bit better and a little bit less forced. I think it was a little forced, like how they set up the Commonwealth for the Rick ending, but or the ending of Rick's story. But again, the only thing I would have changed is not skip over the material they skipped over, and not force some of the setups that they did for the Commonwealth Rick ending storyline. Ronnie Thomas, do you think if Laurie was alive, Rick would have still had his relationship with Andrea or not? I don't think so. I don't see a reason why he would have. If Laurie was still around and they were still together, it's not that Laurie was alive. It was both Laurie being alive and them being together. If it was the case and Laurie and Rick were still together, I don't think Rick would ever have gone with Andrea. And the reason for that may not have been Laurie herself. It would have been Carl and Judith, if she was still around. Ronnie Thomas, I know I already asked you this question, but what death would be worthy for Daryl? At this point, I don't want to see cliche deaths for big characters anymore, because we've seen so many of these cliche deaths that I'm kind of over it. So I hope they give us something shocking, not cliche, but at the same time, something that suits the character. So it's not that his death was for no reason, or that there was no point in him, or not no point, but that his character was wasted. You know what I mean? I hope that he does something epic, but not necessarily like an epic death, because that's a little cliche to me. So it's difficult to come up with an actual scenario, but something that's shocking, but at the same time fits the character and makes the character epic. I hope that answered your question. Giuseppe Doroza, yo Ash, how are you? Giuseppe, glad you could join. Ronnie Thomas, do you think Sherry is dead? And since she's dead, do you think Dwight might join the group with Morgan and Alicia? If Sherry is dead, then Dwight's crossover is pointless. I feel like if they don't have Dwight and Sherry reunite in Fear the Walking Dead at some point, then, or in the future, anytime in the future, then the crossover for Dwight would be absolutely pointless. So I hope they don't skip that, because it makes no sense. Will Morgan and Alicia and Dwight join the group? Well, if that happens, they're going to have to shut down Fear the Walking Dead. Because without these characters, no disrespect to the other characters or to the actors playing those characters, but they're not really that interesting for most fans. I don't want to say everyone, because that's not true. Some people still like these characters that are alive, aside from the ones you mentioned. But I think other than these characters, there isn't that many interesting characters around. So if they leave, then Fear would suffer significantly. So I don't think they're going to risk it. Ronnie Thomas, do you think Alicia might die in the mid-season finale? I hope not, because if she does, then again, I don't understand. Because we started the story with the family, then we had Travis die, Chris died, Nick died, Madison died, and now Alicia. She's the only quote-unquote Clark left, but not all of those were Clark family members, but I'm just saying. So if they kill off Alicia in the mid-season finale, then it's going to piss off a lot of fans for sure. And it'll make the story less interesting and more like a whatever, you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it, but I just think there are some key characters that you just can't kill off at this point in Fear the Walking Dead. Alicia is one of them. The other one is, well, not necessarily kill off, but take away from the show. Morgan would be the second one. If you take these out, then there isn't enough room to keep going. Ronnie Thomas, if you can play a character in The Walking Dead, which character? If I can play as a character in The Walking Dead, Rick is a easy choice, but it would be cool to play as Daryl or Michonne as well. Carol is always a badass. We could go with Carol. Giuseppe De Rosa, Daryl can't die. He is a huge character. Now, if he dies, the show will die. It'll slowly die. I agree that the show's gonna die, but not right away. I think it's gonna slowly die. Ronnie Thomas, how would Daryl react if Carol dies? Do you think he would have the strength to move on? I think so, but I think he'll be more isolated and he'll separate from the group more if Carol dies. But I think he'll carry on. He's strong enough. He's had to cope with big deaths before. Merle, Sophia, Henry even, if you kind of think about it. Also, Rick, you know, can it get any bigger than that for him? You know, he's had to move on and cope with a lot of big deaths before. So I don't think it's a deal. It's not going to break him necessarily, but it's going to make him more isolated than ever before. Mario finally caught up to the stream. Glad you could join, Mario. Giuseppe De Rosa, what if Madison shows up in the movies? I think that's a possibility. I think if they're smart, they're gonna make that happen. But I don't know if they have that in the works or if they're planning on doing that. Ronnie Thomas, do you think Merle was, or if Merle was still alive in season 9, how would he have changed, and also how would his relationship with Daryl have changed? I think if Merle was still alive, he would have definitely had a redemption arc by this time. He was definitely one of those characters that even had a redemption arc, a mini redemption arc before he died. So I think if he stayed alive up to this point, he would have definitely had his redemption arc completed, and he would have merged, or he would have become one of the group. And I think his relationship with Daryl would have definitely changed, and it would have definitely improved because of his redemption arc. And he's a badass character, so he would have been a great addition to the group for sure. As a soldier, as a fighter, as someone you could count on when trouble comes. And he was definitely smart as well. Mario just waiting for Rick movie announcements? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I hope we get something during San Diego Comic-Con. Whether it's as small as a title reveal or an announcement of when it's going to come out, to maybe as big as a trailer, an actual trailer. But I would definitely be shocked if they don't give us anything. Ronnie Thomas, do you imagine Daryl with a baseball bat? How would that have changed the show? As long as he doesn't have barbed wires around it and calls it Lucille, I think it would have been similar. It would just be his signature weapon. Mario, just to say one, guy met Alicia on some promotion event and she spoke that she's quite alive in 5B and she can't wait for fan reactions. I don't think anyone even thought she was going to die, so I think it's not a spoiler that she's not going to die, because, like I said, if they kill Alicia off, then the show's not going to last much longer. Giuseppe De Rosa, what would happen if the governor survived and Liddy didn't finish him off? They would have either had to do a redemption arc for the governor or kill him off in some way in the future after that. The governor was one of those villains you can't just leave around. You know, you either have to redeem him. It was impossible, I think, to redeem him, but you could redeem him, or you could kill him off, and they killed him off. So I don't think there's any in between for the governor. Ronnie Thomas, do you think in the movie Rick would have a line like, "I'm looking for my family. If I have to go to the end of the world, I will find him or find them"? Absolutely. I think they're gonna have to justify and explain, or at least explore, why Rick didn't search for his family. What stopped him? There had to be something there, and they have to explain that. Ronnie Thomas, do you think that the Rick movie might take place in France? No, I don't think so. It doesn't make sense. It has to be in the US. Wherever the CRM is, if they're not in the US, if they're not in America, then it doesn't make sense for them to come to America looking for people, you know? With the helicopter, it doesn't make sense. So they have to be in the US. Or surrounding areas that you can get there more or less quickly, within a couple days. Like, we know that because in Fear the Walking Dead, Isabel said it takes like 72 hours, right? So I don't think it would take 72 hours to go to France from where they are in the US. Or Japan, that would be cool. I think a spin-off show in a different country would be absolutely cool, but not for the Rick movies. I don't think that makes sense. Animated Alex late? Not really. We just started like maybe 15-20 minutes ago. Giuseppe De Rosa, who is worse, the governor or Simon? Simon. Because the governor... Actually, that's a difficult one. More brutal, the governor. More sadistic and calculated in his... more calculated in general, and someone you would be afraid of more because you don't know what they're gonna do and what they're capable of, Simon. But the governor was more brutal for sure. But we never really got to know more about Simon. Like, I feel like there was a lot of layers to Simon that we didn't explore. Mario Rick movies aren't really movies, it's just length episode of their show. So we should get some announcement during Comic-Con. Yeah, I think so. I think the movies each is gonna be like feature length, right? Or movie feature length, or whatever they called it. So it's gonna be as long as a movie. It's gonna have to feel like a movie, but it's not gonna be an actual movie, like an actual Walking Dead movie. And yeah, I hope we get some sort of announcement, because at this point, I think everyone's waiting for it. Ryan Barnett, do you think Lydia will take Maggie's story with Dante? I don't think it makes sense with Lydia, because she's young. And Dante, if, from what we know, they cast Dante already, and he's not like a teen. And I don't think it would really make sense with Dante, and even if he was a teen, and Lydia. I think they're gonna have to change Dante's story when it comes to the Maggie connection, but I don't think it makes sense with Lydia. Ronnie Thomas, how would Morgan react if he learns that the helicopter people have Rick? It's a good question. I would say, well, there's two things involved. What would the writers do in that case? They wouldn't do anything. They would just have him stay because they did that already once. Morgan, the most logical thing would have been for him to come back or take everyone back to Alexandria. He didn't do that when he first crossed over. So as far as the writers, they're not going to do anything. As far as what would be the most realistic thing for him to do, it would be to find a way to get to Rick and to help him out. Ronnie Thomas, who should be the first character to see Rick again? Morgan, Daryl, Michonne, Judith. Morgan, Daryl, Michonne, Judith. Michonne. The others, I think, they're too much of a important character in the medium they're in right now to leave, or for them to afford to have them leave. Michonne is definitely in that camp as well, but since we know she's gonna leave, and there's other characters that could take her spot at this point, then I think that's why it kind of makes sense. Mario CRM symbol is actually Borromean rings. It basically has more meaning than one. The interesting one, however, is it was coat of arms of some Italian family living on 3 islands. This theory could be good. That's interesting. Well, to me, how I always saw the rings was to unite 3 entities together. And that's the basis of why I came up with the CRM theory of mine, which was that CRM is 3 different states. So to me, CRM, or the symbol at least, which could connect to the CRM as well, because it's CRM, is that there's 3 big entities that are united, or that connect. But the theory you explained is good as well. It's a little bit of a stretch, but it could be definitely something that they could explore as well. Animated Alex, it would be cool if Rick wakes up like how he woke up in the hospital as a callback. I think so. I think that's an easy one. They're definitely gonna do something like that in the movies. If not at the very start, then at some point in the movie. Giuseppe Rosa, there's only 2 ways they can end the show. One is in the movies, or Rick comes back to the show to finish it off. Yes, I think so. Not the show itself, Rick's story, as far as Rick's story is concerned. Because the show could still keep going, but it won't focus on Rick anymore. It won't focus on the main story anymore. They could end it some other way. As far as the Rick stuff goes, that would be absolutely what they're going to have to do. Mario, we know they are very secretive. They could be on some island separate from the rest of the world, which explains the helicopters around. That's a good possibility as well. That they're on islands. But at the same time, we got to remember, it has to be, they have the resources. They have enough resources. How would they have been able to get that much resources? Or sufficient resources? But it's possible. It's definitely possible. And I say that because if they're on an island, then it's not easy to bring resources every time. It's going to have to be like a long-term process that they're able to get enough resources to the islands. Animated Alex, what if the Rick movies ends with Rick staying at the CRM? I feel like it could work, but at the same time, lots of fans would be pissed off because we all, as fans, I think, and I don't want to say all, but most fans would want to see Rick's story complete to some extent. Or if it doesn't, then for him to come back to the TV show universe and continue the story from there. Animated Alex, how advanced do you think the CRM is? Very advanced. I think because of the amount of resources that they have, because they're able to give it away for human resources. So because of that, and also the fact that they have helicopters, that they can travel long distances to find people, that all shows you that they're extremely advanced. And the soldiers, they seem to be extremely advanced in terms of weaponry and things like that as well. Ronnie Thomas, do you think the ending might be Rick telling his story to RJ, or other way, Judith telling his son the story of his father? I think the second works better because, well, depends. If they're going to end it in the movies, then the first way. Or if not RJ, then Judith. But if they're going to end it, actually, that's a tough one. It all depends. If they want to kill Rick off, let's say that. If they want to kill Rick off, then I think the second way would work better. Either in the TV show or the movie, one or the other. If they are not going to kill Rick off, then the first. And it could be RJ or Judith being there and Rick telling them his story. Animated Alex, do you think we'll get some fun lines from Negan in season 10? Hopefully. I hope so. I hope we get something with Negan in season 10. Like an actual arc. Animated Alex, CRM corrupted rights militia. CRM could really stand for anything. Like, we could say anything. We could speculate it to be anything we want. As long as it starts with CRM. But we just don't know. We have to wait. Like, I think the closest one we've come up with was either CRM being what I said, with it being 3 states, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts, or the other was, someone mentioned this, like what did they say it was? Catastrophe, something, like something with, let me actually check, because that was also a good theory as well, but let me just make sure I get it right. Just gonna open the comments. Someone commented that prediction, and I think it was a good one. Catastrophe relief management. I think that's also a pretty good prediction for what CRM could be. Giuseppe Rosa, at that moment when you realize Rick, Michonne, Daryl, Carol, Maggie, and Morgan are still alive, they're just in different places. Yeah, absolutely. And it's weird if you think about it. It's extremely weird. Ronnie Thomas, between Rosita and Ezekiel, who's the most likely to die? Please, not Rosita. I think Ezekiel. Ezekiel, probably. Because that's going to push Rosita's story forward. Or, not Rosita, Carol's story forward. Rosita's death is only going to push Eugene's story forward, but not as much. There's only so many ways Eugene's story can go. For Carol, Ezekiel's death could push her story in so many different directions. Animated Alex, could the CRM be creating some kind of super weapon and Rick's trying to shut it down? It's extremely possible that they're doing something big and Rick is trying to shut it down. I think that's the the safest prediction as far as the CRM and Rick and the movies are concerned. Mario, I can guarantee they have probably controlled refineries. They have a lot of fuel for their stuff. It's extremely possible, yes. Giuseppe De Rosa, what if Rick doesn't die? I think if Rick doesn't die in the movies, then he's going to have to come back to the show. If he doesn't, then they're going to have to make more movies. Because they can't have him stay at CRM. I just don't see that happening. unless he becomes the leader, and again, they do it like a spin-off show or more movies with him. Ronnie Thomas, do you think Rosita might take Andrea's role? Andrea's death? I think Ezekiel is more likely to take Andrea's death. Like they could give the Rick Andrea story from the comics at this point to Ezekiel and Carol. I think that's more likely. Animated Alex or CRM can't reboot movies. I'll stop. Yeah, or CRM could be... Let me think. I don't know. I can't think of anything funny to say. Animated Alex. Giuseppe, what if he dies? What if he does? I think it's more likely that he's gonna die in the movies than not. Mario, you could make CRM location theory with this. With which one? That CRM is the islands? Is that what you mean? Or is it some kind of island? Ronnie Thomas, do you think Eugene might die and Rosita takes his role? I mean, they could do it. They could. It's just that... Yeah, they could. They could have Eugene or Rosita die and Eugene follows some sort of story. But I think Eugene is connected to Commonwealth now. Or they're teasing at it. So... I don't see them completely changing that. Like Rosita, what kind of a story does she really have for Eugene to take? Ronnie Thomas, also if Sasha was still alive in season 9, do you think she would have make a good death for a head spike? Absolutely. She could have been a great one. I think if Abraham was alive at this point, he would have been a pretty great choice for that too. But that's unlikely because who could take on Abraham? Let's be realistic. Mario, I wanted to post a link, but I'm unable. Is it like a YouTube link? You could put it on the chat, and I think it'll ask me to verify that it's a good chat comment, and I'll see what it is. But you can put it in the chat. Giuseppe De Rosa, what if the CRM have nukes? I don't see how a nuke would help them, but they could. Ronnie Thomas, how do you think Negan might die if they kill him off in the TV show? I think Negan's death could be great if it's something along the lines of he somehow sacrifices himself, but not a cliche sacrifice, but to a point where he doesn't really know that he's sacrificing himself. Like the risk is there, but he's not really planning to do that. He's not really going on a suicide mission, but it gets to a point where he has no choice. And he makes the decision that, he's going to go for it. But I think it'll be better off if Negan, if it's to a point where it's not as black and white, as Negan is like, yeah, it's a suicide mission, I want to help everyone. I don't think that would work. I think it's better if Negan says, I think I can make this work. There's a little bit of a risk, but I think I can make this work, and it could be any type of danger. But I don't think Negan would necessarily go on it as a suicide mission. I think that would work better for a Negan death. Something where he's not really planning to sacrifice himself, but he ends up sacrificing himself. And maybe even something where he realizes that it's the end for him, and he says something like, shit, maybe I shouldn't have done this. Something like that. Like a pretty Negan-esque thing for him to say at the end. Or this wasn't worth it, or something like that. Giuseppe De Rosa, will you have a reaction to the movies? That's a tough one because I don't know if they're gonna take it down because it's technically a movie that they're calling it, right? So it's not like a TV show where you have 10 minutes of fair use that you can have for a reaction. So I don't know how that's gonna go. I don't want to risk getting a strike on this channel. So, and I mean a copyright strike. So if I do a reaction, it'll be like, what do you call it? A fresh reaction after I see the movie. Like I'm gonna review it and talk about it right away. But an actual reaction, I don't know if I'm gonna do that. Animated Alex, Rick versus Beta. Beta. I don't think Rick has a chance. Mario, to be honest, CRM is the most interesting thing that came to the show. They appear in the Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, Rick movies, and they're more advanced than any group we've seen so far, if they're not connected to the Commonwealth. I think so. I think the CRM is definitely the most interesting thing we've seen in the world of the Walking Dead for quite a long time. The audio is gone, Ash. My audio, is it? I think it's good because I can see the what do you call it? The level of the audio, and it seems like it's good. Animated Alex, I can hear him. Yeah, I think it should be good from my end. It might be your browser, so just refresh your browser maybe, and make sure that you're checking to make sure that the video has the audio all the way up, or the sound all the way up. Ronnie Thomas, Rick and Daryl versus Beta and Alpha. Who would win for you? Rick and Daryl, Beta and Alpha. Still Beta and Alpha. It takes a lot to beat Beta, I think. If it was Rick and Daryl versus Beta, then it would be closer. But Rick and Daryl versus Beta and Alpha, I think that's still very one-sided towards Beta and Alpha. Animated Alex, CRM, can't read, Mom. Alright, that was it. Ronnie Thomas, do you think Negan and Michonne might become friends before Michonne leaves? I think they could have some sort of respect and some sort of connection like Rick and Daryl did, or Rick and Negan did before Rick quote-unquote died. Similar thing. Animated Alex, do you think we'll get a lot of Beta in the trailer? I think we'll see a little bit. I don't think we'll see a lot. A little bit, for sure. Ronnie Thomas, Simon versus Abraham. Abraham versus Beta. That's an interesting question. Who would win, Beta or Abraham, in a fist fight? That I don't know. I mean, I would say Abraham at that point. But because that's a tough one though. But Simon and Abraham for sure. Animated Alex, Simon versus Shane. One-on-one fist fight, I would say Shane. I would say Shane. Ronnie Thomas, Beta is the Hulk of The Walking Dead. He really is. He really is. Mario, the link isn't appearing in your chat at all. Wanted you to take a look. You could make a good theory that no one yet did. Is it a YouTube link? If it's a YouTube link, then you can take out the first bit of it, like the youtube.com, and just put the other part. Like, I'll show you what I mean. Like, I'll take one of my vids, for example. There we go. Like, if it's a YouTube video, then you could, let me see if you can see it. Yeah, I think so. You can just paste this part of it, like when it says watch, whatever. That part of it, I think it'll let you post that. If it's a YouTube video, you can do that. If it's any other video or any other link, I think you can still do it. Worst case, you can just put it on one of my videos, and I think it'll show up in my review part. So I'll have to review it, but I think it'll still show up. Like if you've posted it on a video, I think it might even be there now. Let me check. You're saying it's not a YouTube video. Put it in one of the videos. I think if you post it there, I will be able to review it after. Or just tweet, send it on Twitter or something, or Facebook. Nigel Gilmore, remember me, LOL. I don't. The name doesn't ring a bell. I went to school with you, bro. I don't remember the name. Sorry, bro. To be a little bit more specific, I might remember. Charlie Balding, Charlie Balding, wait, no, man, you're Scott McGregor, man. No danger. I have no idea what you're talking about, Charlie. Mario, I'll just post it on your last video. Yeah, I think I'll still receive it then. Nigel Gilmore, I'll see you on fight night. You're going to sleep. I have no idea what you guys are talking about, Nigel and Charlie. I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Mario, done. I'll check it out. Let me see if it's there first, and I'll check it out later. Yep, I got it. I have the link now, so I'll check it out. Nigel Gilmore, I don't want to say what school it was in case someone on this chat hunts you down. Okay. But that name doesn't ring a bell. Sorry, man. Animated Alex, do you think we'll see Rick bite someone's throat out or something brutal again? Well, in the comics, they did do it twice, right? But even when it happened, I was like, they did it already once, so it's repetitive. But yeah, if they're gonna do it again like the comics, they're gonna have to have it in the movies. Charlie Balding, with the deal we made, Rick Grimes and his mad daft hat spun in the... What are you talking about, Charlie, here? With the deal we made, Rick Grimes and his mad daft hat, he spunked in the ring and stuck it on his lid, lol. I have no idea what you're talking about, man. Animated Alex, those people must be from a WWE fight or something, lol. Yeah, I have no idea what they're talking about. Mario, it is very interesting. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. The link that you posted. Mario, Charlie, and Miguel, why are you trolling? I have no idea. They must not have anything better to do. We've been going for 42 minutes. We'll end it here. Thanks everyone for joining the chat and supporting the channel. I appreciate it. Again, tonight, stay tuned for the reaction to Fear the Walking Dead, the upcoming episode, and the trailer breakdown for the next episode after that. And depending on whatever the link Mario sent and whatever's in there, I might do a video on that. But that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys soon.